Stand by for the Monday morning Storyland.
This is Newsline Latitude.
Louisiana's News Channel.
Big Nine's news scene at 6 with anchorman Carlton Cremines.
Thank you and good evening, everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Baton Rouge needs a zoo.
In our own quiet way, we make an honest effort to do it right and tell you what you need to know. That means a lot to a Louisiana boy.
It's very close to 90 degrees. This is the map today.
Straight ahead.
That tornado warning no longer in effect for southern East Baton Rouge.
All right, it looks like the party is over for Mike Archer and the LSU football team.
In Aix-en-Provence, France, I'm Donna Britt with photographer James DeGraw.
Hello, I'm Donna Britt.
And I'm George Sell.
And when real life becomes real news, George Sells, Donna Britt, and the WAFB News team bring it to you quickly.
Maybe not. You never touch the food.
The 9 News Street Beat Report catches you up.
With the good comes the bad.
The eye of the storm is just making landfall.
This is an incredibly impressive storm.
It's just heartbreaking.
When you look into the eyes of a 17-year-old girl who hasn't talked to her mother in 3 days.
And anytime, anywhere, log on to WAFB.com.
And this has just been a Sunday morning that will be forever remembered here in Baton Rouge.
Our hearts are so heavy this morning.
I never in my lifetime saw water like this.
A declaration of a state of emergency here in Louisiana.
Couldn't do it from the boat, so I just jumped in.
90% rain chance tomorrow, so most of you are...
It's hard to find the right words to describe this moment.
1, 2, 3.
After nearly 40 years, it's the last time we'll see Donna Britt behind the Channel 9 news desk.
Thank you for also being my friends. I also want to thank you, the viewer.
Tonight, we celebrate 7 decades of being here for you. WAFB, celebrating 70. And now, from the very spot where it all began, Elizabeth Vowell and Greg Merriweather.
Good evening to you, friends. You know, this all started with a parade right through here 70 years ago. Tonight, a different parade of sorts, one of memories.
Memories that go all the way back to WAFB's very first broadcast on April 19th, 1953. We start with the stories that changed our community, shaping our lives and yours. Here's Matt Williams.
Well, good evening, y'all. Happy anniversary. 70 years, huh? Seems like an awful long time to see a city and a region grow, which is exactly why we're down here along the levee, right here along the big river. I mean, can you imagine the stories these waters have seen as they roll on by Baton Rouge? I mean, 1953 has got to seem like a blink of an eye ago. But that's where we start you. It wasn't that long after WAFB first hit the airwaves that a major story would begin to play out. One that would reverberate across the South and across the country. The Baton Rouge bus boycott. Reverend T.J. Jemison helping to organize nearly a week of protesting the segregated bus system in Baton Rouge.
We accomplished what we wanted because we got the seats we wanted.
It, of course, paved the way for similar boycotts in Montgomery, Alabama, and the civil rights movement to come. Traveling into the 1960s, it'd be a big step forward for Baton Rouge and civil rights. Joe Delpit is the first African-American elected to the city council. And a big day for the large Catholic population in BR. The Diocese of Baton Rouge is officially established in 1961. Into the 1970s, and it would be a huge story at Southern University demanding we turn our lens to the bluff. A protest would turn deadly. Students were protesting funding and housing issues, as well as other matters. 2 students would eventually be shot and killed as law enforcement came in to try and quiet things down. No one was ever formally charged in those deaths. The Baton Rouge school system finally decided to desegregate its schools.
The opening of school was very successful this morning.
It had been a long time coming after the Supreme Court ruling on Brown versus the Board of Education back in 1954. Baton Rouge needs a zoo! How many of you heard Buckskin Bill utter that line countless times?
Baton Rouge needs a zoo.
In an attempt to get a zoo built in the capital city. It became reality in 1970. How about this for timing? 2 days after WAFB first went on the air, the USS Kidd was in California to be retrofitted for its second tour of duty. But it was run into by a freighter, causing that retrofitting layover to last a little bit longer. Just about 30 years later, in 1982, the Kidd would make its final trip, a journey up the Mississippi. She's been parked here ever since. Also in 1982, Baton Rouge and the parish decided to get hitched. The city and parish governments merged, creating a pretty unique system of government that EBR still incorporates to this day. Traveling into the 1990s, Baton Rouge gets a brand new option for higher education. In 1995, the Baton Rouge Community College is established. It has expanded a number of times over the years. A couple years later, and South Louisiana gets a new place to shop. The Mall of Louisiana officially opening its doors in 1997 and has been welcoming people ever since. As we turn the century, there is one story that grabs all the headlines. There are unsolved murders in the Baton Rouge area, a lot of them, going back years. Some of them would eventually be tied to not just one serial killer, but two. Derek Todd Lee and Sean Vincent Gillis terrorized the area for years until their capture. Former Governor Edwin Edwards is sentenced to prison in 2000. The four-term governor is sentenced to 10 years after being convicted on racketeering charges. His federal trial was appointment viewing for 4 months. As the 2000s rolled along, a brand new movie production facility would take shape in Baton Rouge as Hollywood South began to take off.
It was just amazing to see multiple projects in Baton Rouge going on at one time.
Celtic Studios has been turning out Hollywood blockbusters ever since. 2005 was a banner year. Kip Holden becomes the first black mayor in the city's history, and East Baton Rouge would get a new city. Central incorporates the very same year. Of course, Hurricane Katrina hit that year as well.
As they're expecting the worst of Katrina to come right about now.
The storm devastated New Orleans, but its impact was felt far and wide for years. As the tens and teens roll around, Baton Rouge shows off its pageant skills. The 2014 and 2015 Miss USA pageants held right here in the Red State. But the big stories of the decade were still to come. The shooting death of Alton Sterling and the protest that followed catapulted Baton Rouge back into the national headlines. That would lead to the police ambush shootings a few months later.
Now we've confirmed, as we interrupt your programming, that several officers are down.
4 officers and deputies would lose their lives. Perhaps the only thing that could steal those types of headlines.
Pretty remarkable to see this many flash flood emergencies in effect.
The water just kept coming up and kept coming up.
Would be a devastating act of Mother Nature.
You're talking about Zachary now up around 21 inches.
Which is exactly what we saw in 2016. Floodwaters came in and changed the landscape. Waters whose impact are still being felt to this day. Which brings us back to these waters rolling down the Mississippi. Can you imagine the stories they'll see over the next 70 years? We promise to keep the cameras rolling. Guys, happy anniversary. Back to you.
70 years, that's 7 decades of history, heartbreak, and hope. How it all came together after this.
Plus the people you've loved watching through the years.
You're the first TV station in Baton Rouge, the second in Louisiana. What's the first thing you put on the air? Oh, there wasn't much to choose from. So WAFB's Don Hallman called organizers of a local downtown parade with an idea. At 12:30 on April 19th, 1953, the studio doors opened and 2,500 marchers paraded through the building past the cameras. WAFB Channel 28 was born.
It was 1953 when word spread through the old Beauregard neighborhood that something new was coming to Baton Rouge.
We got word that they were going to build a television station in Baton Rouge. And then to add to it, they was going to do it on Government Street.
Cookie Billingsley was just 7 years old at the time. When the construction got underway, he and his crew of friends spent their time playing on a gigantic pile of dirt dug out by construction crews right about here where the McDonald's is today.
It had to be 35, 40 feet high with a large base in it. To us kids, that was better than the circus.
Cookie watched from that dirt mound as the 500-foot tower went up. And when it started broadcasting, you can bet he watched that too. It was Channel 28 then, on a small UFH signal. The very first day on air, WAFB TV showed a whole parade. 2,000 people marched through the studio, including a band, dancers, and even the governor at the time. Cookie still remembers some of those original broadcasters and being starstruck when they showed up at a drugstore across the street where his mom worked.
When they came in that door, our jaws dropped. "Hi, boys." And they went onto the cosmetic counter. "What are you?" My buddies are giving me the elbow. "What they doing going over there to cosmetics?" And my mother sold them a bunch of whatever it is, makeup that they had to wear back then for the hot lights and the heat, so that they would appear correctly on television. She explained that to me after they left. I went back and told my buddies, and he said, "Well, we can go along with that this time."
That old drugstore used to sit right here where the fire station is on Government Street. Just one example of how things have changed over 70 years. Another example, that old tower now broadcasts 9 channels, including WAFB. And how you watch is up to you.
Over the decades, the TV signal switched from UHF to the stronger VHF.
For the Monday morning Storyland March.
Then from analog
Okay, Renee, here's to you, good times and NASCAR.
to digital.
Oh, it's an eye popper.
Another hearing will be held Monday.
And from SD
From Louisiana's news channel
to HD. Now, you just need the internet or a cell phone signal to watch the news anywhere you want, on any device you choose. But WAFB's chief engineer Sidney Folse explains a lot of people still prefer the signal coming out of that old reliable tower.
It's not going away anytime soon. It's free television. So when you've got a choice of paying, rates for cable and streaming, things like that, those all come at a price, whereas we still offer television for free over the air.
As for the future of broadcasting, that signal is about to get another upgrade.
The new format for over-the-air, ATSC3, is going to make your television, although you can call up apps right now, that's just part of it. Your actual tuning into any of the channels for WAFB, each channel that you tune into is going to look like a website, and you can literally pull down other things from that one channel.
No, huh?
Over the decades, Cookie grew up right along with the TV station. But no matter how the picture changes,
I know him, but I don't remember his name.
he says it's still the station he remembers 70 years ago.
I think, in my own personal opinion, when Channel 9, the first day they come on the air, was the day Baton Rouge was born. That's when it started to bloom.
You know, WAFB was the first television station in the capital region.
Our WAFB family has always consisted of your friends, your neighbors, the most trusted TV news men and women. We dug deep into the WAFB vault to find some of your favorites.
He was the voice of Senor Puppet, the announcer for Dixie Wrestling, the weatherman for the 10 p.m. news, the host of the $1 Million Movie, the epitome of old-time TV. He's the multi-talented Sid Crocker, one of WAFB's own.
For the best insight both day and night, stay with Channel 9, WAFB TV.
Morning News and Night, you've welcomed our news teams into your homes for 70 years.
From the news legends that launched our TV station to the anchor desk duos that held your hands through the hard times, our Liz Coe shows you some of our news heroes.
Here at 844 Government Street, a lot has changed over the last 70 years.
During our earlier years on the air, our programming aired in black and white, but there was no shortage of colorful personalities, the people who created the very foundation of WAFB. Before WAFB was known for news programming, in the 1950s, viewers would turn the dial to UHF station Channel 28 at the time to watch society reporter Oreen Muse. She hosted a 15-minute live report, interviewing charity groups and local personalities, showcasing what Baton Rouge had to offer in the world of entertainment. On Monday, August 15, 1955, Buckskin Bill first brought viewers into the Storyland cabin on WAFB.
Hold the show. Whoa, wait a minute, quit, stop, hold the show. Wait a minute.
All right. Wait. Now, I was just talking to the boys and girls and saying, let's do something meaningful. What do you have to say that's meaningful?
Something that's meaningful? Mm-hmm. Would you please get off my little foot?
The voice behind Senor Puppet was Sid Crocker. Many also knew him as the voice of the LSU Fighting Tigers. He was a newsman with a booming voice who often appeared in local commercials.
Boys and girls, on our pro football team, we train on hillbilly bread. Granny's old-fashioned hillbilly bread mix is good tasting and nourishing, too.
What position do you play?
I'm a water boy.
Then, in 1960, WAFB put a sharp focus on news, hiring Carlton Cremines to be a news anchor and news director. Cremines was an old-school TV news journalist who believed viewers deserved the best.
He demanded perfection with your editing and your reporting. You don't make mistakes.
Cremines knew talent when he saw it. In fact, he's responsible for hiring WAFB legends Paul Gates, Donna Britt, George Sells, and Diane Deaton. Cremines forged a path in TV news on many fronts. He put Baton Rouge's first black reporter on TV, along with the capital city's first anchorwoman.
Hello, I'm Donna Britt.
And I'm George Sells. A 16-year battle over segregation in Louisiana.
The dynamic anchor team of George Sells and Donna Britt carrying that success for 24 years until George retired in 2012.
Hello, I'm George Sells, and this is a 9 News Break. Why was there no warning from the Weather Service about yesterday morning's tornadoes? Tonight, Newsline 9 has recordings of weather radar during that critical period that may answer some questions.
George and Donna were innate storytellers. They knew how to tell a story in a thorough but concise way, setting the standard for journalists in the WAFB newsroom.
Hi, I'm Diane Deaton. Coming up on Monday's Morning Show, we're going to give you information concerning the incidence of chimney fires and wood heating safety.
Viewers also found a good reason to wake up and turn the channel to WAFB. The stars lined up when Diane Deaton's resume tape ended up on the desk of Carlton Cremines. He took one look at it and flew her down to Baton Rouge. Diane was a calm voice through major severe weather events like Hurricane Andrew in 1992, then Rita and Katrina in the early 2000s.
This is Diane Deaton from the team that promises to alert you first.
Good morning. Well, after a day like we had yesterday,
Diane also has range, with the ability to pivot from providing life-saving information to families in South Louisiana to bringing smiles to those same faces every morning.
Why didn't the group just ask me about the rain? I can do this. Who needs fancy technology?
She has a sense of humor that viewers got to see during 9 News This Morning's many road trips. Many of you would write into the station saying how much you love Diane's style. Her radiant personality was a ray of sunshine in the mornings and afternoons for 37 years. Diane eventually retired from WAFB in 2020.
You know him as a top-notch investigative reporter. Now, see him in his finest hour.
Today, I'm going to show John how to cook. I think I got a little problem here. John!
Or
John!
maybe not.
John.
You never touch the food unless you're tasting it. You're going to hurt yourself.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Paul Gates.
Paul Gates is another WAFB favorite who knew how important it was to laugh a little. Gates and Chef John Foles were the pioneers behind Stirring It Up. Here, viewers learned how to cook up a Cajun dish or dessert from a hound dog investigative reporter and a world-class professional chef. But perhaps there was more comedy than cooking.
I got a bouquet for you because I knew you were coming today, huh?
That's not a bouquet. That's something you clean the floors with.
Once upon a time, 2 beautiful twins were separated at birth. One given to Cajuns the other to wolves. They grew up, each experts in their own field, now reunited for the first time exclusively on WAFB.
Daddy!
Stirring It Up would eventually feature a guest from the WAFB weather team. Who could forget longtime meteorologist Mike Graham?
Streets are still dry here, not so elsewhere, and we'll look at all of it straight ahead.
Known for issuing cuddle alerts, Mike Graham was hired on as WAFB's chief meteorologist in 1979. It's these pillars who laid the groundwork for WAFB to be Louisiana's news channel, leaving behind a legacy of service, dedication, and commitment to Baton Rouge and beyond.
Thanks for watching WAFB. It's an honor to be part of your chosen TV family.
Yes, indeed. And as we continue to march along, we're going to take you back to 1955 and the man who made Mondays the greatest day of the week.
Stand by for the Monday morning Storyland March.
Good morning, boys and girls. It's time now for Monday Morning Storyland.
Storyland, starring Buckskin Bill, debuted across the WAFB TV land way back in 1955.
And now let's visit the Storyland cabin and Buckskin Bill.
Good morning, boys and girls. I'm just about ready.
This particular episode is from a Monday morning, and Mondays were always a big deal on Buckskin.
I'm glad you decided to join me this Monday morning. You know what we always do first on a Monday morning, don't you?
With a style that made every single boy and girl watching at home believe he was talking directly to them, Buckskin explained how it all worked.
There's the marching hat, and here's our marching baton.
Kids at home grabbed whatever they could to march right along.
And we say, stand by for the Monday morning Storyland March!
The Monday morning tradition became so popular that many years later, Buckskin recalled the one time he decided to stop doing the march. He was quickly met by an anxious WAFB switchboard operator who had a few words for him.
So I broke for a break, and she said, I don't care what you do on this television program. We have blown the switchboard. Said, you do the Monday morning march. Mothers are calling, their children are crying, people are upset. Do the Monday morning march. I said, yes, ma'am. When he came back on, I said, I made a mistake and changed my mind. Let's do the Monday morning march. And we did, and did, and did every Monday morning that Storyland was ever on.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Baton Rouge needs a zoo.
Buckskin played a big part in building excitement for a new zoo in Baton Rouge. He asked kids to collect money to buy an elephant for the new zoo, kicking off a huge penny drive starting in 1969. You see this long line of kids stretching outside the WAFB studios? They were here to be on his show and donate the pennies they had pulled together.
It became popular and very popular and very popular, and all of a sudden the safe was full. So we opened it up on television. The sight totally shocked me. All those thousands of pennies cascading out.
And sure enough, they got enough to buy not one, but 2 elephants for the zoo, one of them named Penny. The Buckskin Bill show lived on until 1988, and he retired from WAFB 2 years later. Then he got elected to the school board and remained a member for 16 years. He passed away just 5 years ago. When it went off the air, Buckskin held the record for the longest-running children's program in the country, a show that left behind fond memories for so many, and this phrase that his viewers heard time and time again.
This is Buckskin Bill saying you're never completely dressed until you put on a smile. Thank you for being so nice to me. Remember, Baton Rouge needs a zoo. Bye-bye from the Storyland Cabin.
From grease pencils to magnetic suns and clouds to 3D Doppler radar, we've seen some remarkable changes in the technology and the art of weather forecasting. We've seen lots of people sitting in the WAFB weather chairs over the last 70 years, but none with the longevity of Chief Meteorologist Mike Graham.
A cold morning tomorrow, but the afternoon temperatures will be well up in the 50s.
And morning forecaster Diane Deaton.
Welcome to the 5th season.
And over those 70 years, we've dealt with more than our fair share of deadly and destructive storms, floods, and hurricanes. And WAFB weathercasters have been with you each and every time.
That's right, Jay, and it's that flood and hurricane coverage that is such a big part of our station's legacy.
From Betsy in 1965 to the 1983 flood to Hurricane Ida in 2021. We've been through the storms together.
There is a mandatory evacuation by order of the San Maria Parish Civil Defense Director.
When Hurricane Andrew blasted the area in 1992, familiar faces like Donna Britt kept the updates flowing even as the station dealt with its own loss of power like so many others in our community. We've been on the road, taking you inside storms like Ivan.
It's just after 2 a.m. here in Daphne, Alabama. We've been without power since 9 o'clock last night, experiencing hurricane force winds since about 11:30.
The track right now has it close to the mouth of the river.
And into the almost unbelievable aftermath of Katrina.
They told us that anywhere from 6 to maybe 8 officers were now hoarding goods of all sorts on the 10th floor.
Are you a New Orleans police officer?
Yes, sir. Excuse me.
Do you have a badge?
When the biggest winds to hit Baton Rouge since Betsy arrived in 2008 with Gustav, Chief Meteorologist Jay Grimes guided us through the chaos.
This band could actually generate winds even more than that.
Not only have you counted on Jay for more than 2 decades, but so have our state leaders.
We still have a little bit of banding that we're dealing with, and it looks like New Orleans may be still possible to receive another inch or more.
Then came the 2016 flood.
Almost certainly historic flooding.
Life-changing for many and unbelievable to most. And probably the most challenging of all the storms we've covered with some of our own people impacted. That included Jeff Morrow.
By the time I was able to leave work that afternoon, I couldn't get home because the flooding was so bad in the Walker area that I couldn't get into the neighborhood.
While some of the faces have changed through the years, our commitment to get you through the big storms has been unwavering.
You know, Jay, one thing I think you saw there is our station's coverage of storms through the years. It's been pretty steadfast. One thing that's changed quite a bit, though, that's been the technology.
That's right. Our forecasting skill has made great gains over the years thanks to the advances, but the most important gains have occurred in the computer modeling arena, especially for the 3, 7, and 10-day forecasts. Over the years, Channel 9 has been the area leader in local radar coverage. Some longtime viewers may remember when WAFB provided real-time radar on cable TV from the National Weather Service at Metro Airport.
It's the accuracy.
And Channel 9 was the first local station to operate a true local Doppler radar system. That was Century 9000 Doppler right here in downtown Baton Rouge. This is going to give us the ability to provide radar coverage in parts of our viewing area that have always been questionably underserved, especially during severe weather. And today we lead again with the WAFB Doppler Radar Network, enhanced by a new radar in West Feliciana Parish, with plans of adding more regional radar sites to supplement the National Weather Service's Doppler coverage. Today's Storm team has more than 90 years of combined professional experience, more than any other team in the region. It's the team you can count on to stay ahead of the storm.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. We've learned over the years that some of life's greatest lessons can be found in the games we play.
A look back at some of our greatest sports moments coming up.
Greatest parade in the history of Baton Rouge.
We win the national championships for both teams.
That feeling, you know, you have a certain type of feeling where, man, we're on the bluff, we're at home, you know, we have to dominate.
I came to Baton Rouge in 1977, my first game in Tiger Stadium, 77-0. Got to see the end of Charlie McClendon's career and the rise of LSU men's basketball.
By that time, I was in the Acadiana area growing up, a big LSU fan, actually watching Channel 9. And wow, the last 40 years, so much.
This is an impossible task.
But we'll do our best in 4 minutes. Here we go.
Practice constantly, all 2 or 3 hours every day in the backyard.
WAFB came on the air right after Bob Pettit played in a Final Four loss to Indiana as a junior and finished LSU as a two-time All-American, becoming the first NBA player to surpass 20,000 points. Another Baton Rouge High great, Jimmy Taylor, played for Paul Dietzel in 56 and 57, then Vince Lombardi, winning 4 NFL titles, ending with the first ever Super Bowl as a Green Bay Packer.
Heisman Trophy winner, number 20, Billy Cannon.
In 58, Cannon led Dietzel's team to the national championship as a junior.
Almost every single one of them have done so well in life.
It was always about the team.
Halfback Billy Cannon. He won the Heisman in 1959.
Downfield, Billy Cannon watches it bounce. He takes it on his own 11. He comes back upfield to the 15, stumbles momentarily.
Dietzel would leave LSU before Jerry Stovall finished runner-up for the Heisman in 62. It would be 45 years before the next title.
Billy Cannon raced some 89 yards for a touchdown. Listen to the cheer for Billy Cannon as he comes off the field. Great All-American.
The fame that he brought to Louisiana, I think, helped all of us.
Cannon came from Mastruma, while McKinley produced another man who brought fame to Baton Rouge in Louisiana, passing Bear Bryant for most college football victories, 408. Eddie Robinson led Grambling to 17 SWAC titles, 9 Black College National Championships, and sent more than 200 players to the pros, including local hero and Super Bowl MVP Doug Williams.
If you go out and try to have a popularity contest, you're not going to win any ball game. If we got to run the play 20 times to make it work against the dummy, we're going to run it 20 times. Might go ahead and run it 30 times.
Same thing, run it, same thing.
The relationship you have with the player, he has to know that you're concerned about him being a better person. I want the guys who played the game at Grambling to be better men.
Other than my father, Coach Robinson is the most influential man in my life.
Southern's campus witnessed A.W. Ace Mumford win 11 SWAC titles, 5 Black College National Championships in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. His name's on the stadium where Pete Richardson won the first of 4 HBCU national titles in his first season. When the Saints' John Gilliam made his famous kick return to start the franchise in New Orleans, there was a sharpshooter in Baton Rouge setting records that still haven't been broken. Pete Maravich, 44 points a game with no three-point line, an NCAA record 3,667 points for a guy who preferred to pass, dribble, and put on a show.
The type of style I enjoy playing is a Celtic style. I enjoyed that for the 3 months I was there, was people coming up to me saying, we've never seen a basketball game before, and we will never miss another one.
He came out the first night to play his freshman game. He was out there warming up, and there was a lot of oohs and ahs. There were more people than we'd had for some time in the Conf Palace.
WAFB's Sid Crocker, Bob Scarce, and Jay Townsend, fixtures for sports in the 70s when Dale Brown began his 25-year run with more wins in the SEC than anybody but Kentucky's Adolph Rupp. Kentucky native Rudy Macklin, the leader of a 31-win first of 2 Final Four teams in 81.
LSU basketball's superstar era of the late 80s into the 90s, producing the explosive grace of Chris Jackson and the power and personality of Shaquille O'Neal.
And on the Southern campus, a scoring explosion led by Ben Jobe and point guard Avery Johnson, who dished out a record 13 dimes every night before 16 years in the NBA and a Spurs championship.
show a lot of leadership, hit the open man, and just try to be a little general on the floor.
By 1990, we had started doing some heavy lifting when it comes to high school football coverage, creating a live 30-minute, sometimes 45-minute, sometimes hour-long scores and highlight show called Sportsline Friday Night. Just celebrated 33 of those 70 years.
And Steve, that's just half of the 70 years.
You've got Skip Bertman and his LSU baseball dynasty.
The legend Roger Cador on the bluff, 913 wins with Southern baseball.
Sue Gunner, Simone Augustus, 7 more Final Fours, including the men.
And those LSU football coaches, Nick Saban, Les Miles.
And I'm excited about the opportunity of my damn strong football team to play in.
Coach O, all winning national championships.
And the Saints Super Bowl title.
Joe Burrow, Heisman Trophy winner. Drew Brees is the GOAT. Paul Maneri's LSU Baseball National Championship in 2009, and the Kim Mulkey national title in her second year.
And who can forget the LSU track and field ladies, their dynasty.
We've got the rest of the year to tackle that.
Boy, that quote couldn't be any truer as we talk about these 70 years.
It's almost too many names to list. Let's celebrate some of those giants that we've lost.
Whether it's feeding the hungry or helping the sick get well, for over 70 years, you have helped WAFB lend a helping hand to those in our community who need it most. And sometimes we even save lives.
We call it the Click, the St. Jude Click.
Cindy Pino donates platelets every year in memory of her 13-year-old daughter, Jill, who died of a brain tumor.
I checked yesterday when I donated. I have donated over 105 gallons.
Much of that at WAFB's annual Beat Bama blood drive.
We beat Bama every year. Hello, they don't just, they're just not as into it as we are.
The friendly competition with our sister station in Alabama typically results in a win for WAFB and the Our Lady of the Lake Blood Donor Services that collects, tests, and distributes more than 60% of the blood transfused in our local community.
I might not say a prayer for you and I might not make you a casserole, but I can give you my blood. And that's my thing. And
hundreds of you, like Cindy, give the gift of life over the course of a week in October at the OLOL Blood Center or one of the many mobile sites parked around town.
And I know the need. My daughter needed it. It's just too easy. I love what I do, and I do it because I have it in my heart. Because of Jill.
And giving from the heart is what hundreds of you do every year. Through Uniforms for Kids, our partnership with St. Vincent de Paul, students get brand new or gently used uniforms for school.
The smiles are priceless, and when they come through the door, Cheryl can attest that every child that comes through is so happy because they don't have to face the embarrassment or ridicule of going to school without the proper attire. And that's what Uniforms for Kids is all about.
From school uniforms to school supplies, our Assess the Need Livingston Parish School Supply Drive partnership collects paper, pencils, and more to keep local students' backpacks full. But our dedication and drive to help children goes much deeper. Our Driving the Future campaign benefits Our Lady of the Lake Children's Hospital and children just like Jensen.
The thing that this hospital means to me is health, healing, and hope.
It's also the hope of winning a new Lexus that has hundreds calling in to buy that $50 raffle ticket. You've helped us to build a hospital from the ground up and keep it going with millions over the years. For WAFB, community service is a long-standing tradition.
Hello, everyone. I'm Donna Britt.
And I'm George Sells, and thank you for joining us for the 2008 St. Jude Telethon.
Through the years, the charities may have changed, but the reason behind our dedication stays the same, whether it's an annual commitment or jumping into action at a moment's notice. In 2015, Deputy U.S. Marshal Josie Wells was killed while trying to arrest a murder suspect in Baton Rouge. Our Together for Josie fundraiser raised over $45,000 in one day for the slain officer's widow and unborn child. A year later, when our city was devastated by floodwaters, leaving hundreds homeless, our big Louisiana Rising concert and Raising Hope Telethon collected thousands for the Salvation Army and the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, one of our longtime community partners. To make sure no one in our community goes hungry, we host our fall food drive every September.
It's tremendous for us. September is Hunger Action Month.
When you help us, we all help the people we know right here in our community. The Shepherd's Market Food Pantry at St. John Methodist Church relies on the food bank to feed hungry families.
I would say it's approximately between 20 and 25,000 pounds each month.
Food that's used to prepare hot meals for children and seniors who would otherwise go without. But more importantly, families can shop for groceries in the market and take home 2 weeks worth of produce, canned goods, bread, and more.
It helps me to make ends meet because everything is gone it's so expensive. I mean, you go to the store, you buy $20 worth of food and you only have one bag. So it's really helping to make ends meet.
Over in Ascension Parish, our mission is to feed the soul at the Ark of East Ascension. Every year, members of the WAFB family put their best feet forward for Dancing for a Cause. Our many contributions help to improve the quality of life for people with disabilities through education, employment, and community involvement. And that is what it's all about, bringing people together to make a difference for others, for the past 70 years and for many more to come.
This TV station was built on you and more than just the faces you see here. Everyone from a Fast Eddie to a Mr. Willie to a father and son duo known for climbing ladders to make sure we were lit nicely.
It has been our privilege and our pleasure serving you for the past 70 years. From all of us here at WAFB, thank you for making us part of your family. Good night.